Hi there, my name is Janet Gershon-Siegel, and I'm the Lonely Writer. This is serious social media help for the independent writer who is a writer who does not yet have an agent. I am a master's degree candidate at Quinnipiac University, and this is my capstone project. Today I'm going to be talking about writing a blurb for your book. Now, blurbs are short promotional pieces, as you might expect. They used to just be on the backs of books, but these days you might see them as the copy on an Amazon author or book page, or maybe both, or it could be the snippet that's pulled by search engines for a page. The best blurbs are short. They are specific as to the genre. They are open about who the protagonist is, but they're still spoiler-free. They are not a rehash of the first chapter or of the entire plot, and they're rather neutral about the quality of the work. You don't say, oh my God, this is the most wonderful book I've ever read. Well, no, that's not a blurb. You want to grab the reader's attention. You are competing against any number of other distractions, so you've got to be engaging. You want to be positive with your language here. Consider the blurbs for the books that you know well. What do they emphasize? What do they leave out? Have you ever bought a book from an unknown writer solely on the strength of a blurb? Think about that. Here's a sample blurb, and you should know this story well. In this fantasy tale, Dorothy is whisked away by a twister to an unknown magical land. But first she has to deal with the quite literal fallout of her house falling on and killing a wicked witch. Blurbs give us an idea about the story, and they make us want to read more. This sample blurb for The Wizard of Oz would probably not quite be long enough because it's a more complex work, it's a longer work, but it still works. It still gets you interested in reading if you don't know anything about the story. And it tells you who the protagonist is, and it tells you the genre. Here's another sample blurb. While a long book does not need to have a long blurb, it at least could conceivably support one. But for a short novel, you probably don't need a long blurb unless you've written some sort of classic like The Great Gatsby. But maybe that's not the case either. So here's the sample blurb for The Great Gatsby. Reclusive millionaire Jay Gatsby leads the good life in 1920s New York. As his friend Nick Carraway watches, Gatsby's life takes a turn with the all-too-appealing but all-too-married Daisy Buchanan. You've got the main character, who's really Carraway when you get right down to it. You've got Gatsby, who is the title character, and you've got Daisy Buchanan, who is the plot driver. It's all said in very few words here. Here's another sample blurb. How about Scout and Jem Finch live in Alabama with their widowed father, Atticus, the town's leading lawyer. It's the 1930s, and Maycomb seems far from sophistication or enlightenment. And so the trouble starts when a black man is accused of raping a white woman, and Scout's father agrees to defend the accused. Is that enough to make you want to read To Kill a Mockingbird? Maybe it is. It sets the scene. It gives you who the protagonist is, which is actually Scout, because this is her perspective. It's her POV. It gives you the scene. It gives you the time period, and there's your big conflict. There's your big plot driver right there. That here's this crime, that this alleged crime has been committed, and her father is going to be right in the middle of it. What else? Blurbs are intended to be engaging. They are a sales tool, so treat them as such. You want your readers to be excited enough about your work in order to open up their wallets and purchase it. Back to you. Once again, this is Janet Gershon-Siegel for Lonely Writer, because an independent writer never has to be alone. Thanks so much for listening.